Hello, second graders, and welcome back. This is math. We are on chapter 15, lesson 5. The page is 755. And our learning target, what we are trying to do today, is show a rectangle as equal squares. Now, it's going to ask you to do some things that you actually just don't have at your house. It's going to ask you to use some square tiles. I have these square tiles, and if you were in the classroom, we could just do the square tiles. However, I think we can do this while you follow along, or these square tiles are 1 inch, and because they're squares, by 1 inch. So if you want to try to cut out some squares that are 1 inch by 1 inch, or have mom and dad help you with that, or you can mark on your paper at 1 inch lines, right? 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch, and then mark and draw from one line to the other, right? Mark lines all the way around. Then you might be able to do this. I'm sure you'll be able to figure it out. If you have any problems, you just let your teacher know. All right. So this one says, how many squares do you need to cover this rectangle? So I'm going to get my squares here. The fastest way for me to do it is to use my squares so we can get all of this in for the video. So I have 2 high, and then I do that. I'm not completely covered yet. Another one, and here we go, and 2 more. Let's see, does that do it? Why, yes, that looks like it does it. It has covered up our rectangle with all of the squares. Now, it asks, how many squares did it take to cover this rectangle? And let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. 8 squares. Now, when it asks for an equation to match my model, why, that just makes me think back to my arrays from chapter 1. We talked about making arrays. And I have this row. How many in this row? 1, 2, 3, 4. Plus this row is how many total? 4 plus 4. We know that as a double. We know that 4 plus 4 is 8. We know there are 8 total. 4 plus 4 equals 8. That is our equation that matches this model. All right. That's our repeated addition. All right, let me take those off. Then it says how many square tiles to cover this rectangle. Now, what they did is they were doing what I suggested. They drew a line for you, and you have 1 line there, 1 line there, 1 line there at each of the inches, and then another one, another one, another one. Then I go here, and I go up and down. There's my line in the middle, and here's my 1 inch line there. And then they just take and draw a line with their ruler right down there, and right down there, and here. And if you do this, why, then you will have all of your squares. So what do we have? Number of rows. A row, remember, goes side to side. So we have 2 rows. Number of columns. Columns go up and down. So I have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 columns. If I add by row, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, and that equals 8. And if I add by column, I have this one, there's 2, and this one has 2, and this one has 2, and this one has 2. 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2. Well, it has to equal the same as this because there's the same number of squares, and it is 8. So total square tiles is 8. Perfect. Now, they are asking me to use square tiles. You do it however you think you can at your house to cover this rectangle and then fill in my statements. So let me get one here, put it right into that corner. Oh, and by the way, you notice how this right angle fits right into that right angle on that. And there's another one. And here's there right next to those, and another one. And here we go. And one more. There we are. All right, so I have covered my rectangle. And let's add by rows. Let's see, I have 1, 2, 3 rows. So I have 1, 2, 3 spots. How many are in this first row? 2. And the second row? 2. And the third row? 2. Repeated addition. And how many do I have altogether? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Or 2, 4, 6. Excellent. Now add by columns. I have how many columns? I have 1 that's up and down here and 2 columns. In this column, there are 3. In this column, there are 3 because it's an array. The same number in each row, the same number in each column. 3 plus 3, I know that as a double, but I also know that I didn't change any tiles, so it's going to equal 6. It's always going to equal 6 for this shape because no matter how I add it up, in rows or in columns, it's always going to add to 6 because that's how big it is. And the total square tiles, 6. All right, let me get this page off of here. We're going to go to 757. And let's do this. It says use square tiles to cover the rectangle. So I'm going to put my square tiles on here. And I want to put them nice and close together. If I put them like this, is that going to be the right number? Oh boy, I can hear you from here. You're saying, no, that's not right. So I'm going to put this right angle into that right angle. I'm going to keep putting them right next to each other. And I know I have 1 row. So I know that I will need another row that looks just like that to fill in my rectangle. And my last row, I need to get some more. Let's see, I have this and this, and I'm going to put them all into their spots. Well, let me see. I have this. I have covered my rectangle, and let's add it by rows. When I add this row, I have how many in this row? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Each row is the same because it is an array. We've made an array. Each row has the same number. Each column has the same number. It's an array. So I have 5 plus 5 in the middle plus 5 more. And let's do the addition. We skip count by 5, 5, 10, 15. Right? Now I add by columns. I have 1, 2, 3 in this column. The next column will have the same number, so I write 3. Here's my middle column. That's got 3. Next column has 3. And the last column has 3. Now I can do the math on this. But right now, you should be telling me, Mr. Garrett, I know how many there's going to be. because you didn't move any of the tiles. We know how many there are from the first one, right? 5 and 5 and 5. 5 plus 5 plus 5 equals 15. So I know that 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 is going to equal 15. Now, if you are not sure, we can add. 3 plus 3 is 6. And I do this other 3 plus 3, that makes another 6. 6 plus 6 equals, it's a double, 12. So now I have 12 plus 3 more. 12, and then I add 3. 13, 14, 15. Look at that. It added up to 15. Now when I count all of these, how many does it add to? 15. All right. Extra super bonus for jumping ahead, but don't worry about it now. I just know that some of you are thinking, if I have 5 in this row and 3 in this column, I have 5 sets of 3. I'm going to put a double secret thing down here. 5 rows of 3. 5 times 3 equals 15. We are getting ready for multiplication. They're not asking us to do that. That was just Mr. Garrett. But if you're ready, 5 times 3 is 15. And yes, if you were thinking that, good job. Now, this says divide the rectangle into 6 equal parts. When I have this, I'm going to divide it into 6 equal parts by drawing my lines. Here we go. So I'm going to put this on this rectangle. I'm going to start it at 0, and I see that it's 3 here. So I'm going to have a 1 and another 1 there at the 2. I'll go up to the top, and I'll say on the 0, there's my 1, there's my 2. The 3 is at the other side. I go here. Oh, there's 2. So I'm going to go right in the middle at the 1. Right in the middle at the 1. I will draw my line here. I will draw my line here. And I will go straight across in the middle. Do I have this into 6 equal parts? I sure do. I have squares for all of these. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 3 plus 3, right, for my rows, I'm sorry. And there's 2 plus 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2 plus 2 for my columns. Both of them are going to equal 6. And for people who are ready to jump ahead, I have 1, 2, 3 2s. That means 3 times 2 equals 6. Remember, bonus problem. Not going to ask for you to do this, but just in case you wanted to know, that is how we get started with multiplication. All right, let's take a look at the next page. If I get too close to the end, I'm almost done with my time. If I get too close, do the next 2 pages on your own. I want you to try your best to do all of these. I know it's a challenge since you don't have the squares, but let's see what you can do. All right. This says you use foam mats to cover the entire floor of a square room. Square is our hint. It means there's 4, it means that there are going to be sides that are the same. You fit 4 mats across. How many are going to fit up and down in a square? Well, it has to be the same. So 4 across, 4 down. 4 across, 4 down. Let's see how many rows, how many columns, and see if you can come up with that on your own. All right. Excellent job. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you later.